that's essentially what hack is about. It's about that which is no longer necessary becomes the dross. When a person's purifying metal, the dross is the stuff that's boiled away, and you can think of the foam on the top of a bubbling cauldron of metal and the foamy stuff that scoop it off and toss it out, and that's the dross. That's the stuff that's no longer necessary, no longer needed, and all that. So that's a time where that kind of thing happens, which is in number 18. But then, sometimes people want to hold on. They don't. Well, I don't want to get rid of that. I want to keep that. And then we come into number 19, which says, well, you're going to get rid of it anyway, if you like it or not, because it's Jehovah, or the unseen, is stronger, more potent, wiser than self. Because it's the self that's holding on, saying, oh, I just can't do it right now. And Jehovah might say, well, all right, we'll let it slide. Or he might think, well, that's not good for your soul. And it'll be gone. And 19 is a time when that can happen. And not that Jehovah himself takes it away, but he allows Satan, he allows the self within humanity, within man. The self within man will destroy itself all the time. It always happens all the time. And out of the ashes comes the phoenix, so to speak, comes man's spirit, comes a higher growth, a better growth, and all that. Well, if we look at what 19 means, one of the things that 19 means, well, one of the things that 18 means, because 18 is where it all just kind of starts, because that's number 7, I mean the 7th one in the objective, below Drew, number 7. Man is allowed to drift in toward his fulfillment, and he can labor for it as well, to a certain extent. And in other words, it comes through the nay and the om, because the drift, that's the feminine. And the going forth and the building and all that, that's the masculine to go that way. And so in that fullness that's moved toward, and then there's that which is no longer sustainable and all that starts to become evident. And that's one of the reasons why, by the way, number 7, Drew, is called evil spirits, because it becomes evident to S before the residents of S, before it becomes evident to those who are of corporeal living. Because S perceives it before, by and large, before the corporean does, they will try, the low grade ones, the evil spirits, now they will try to hold on to it and say, oh no, I'm not going to lose this, and all that, and then they inspire the mortal with that same type of a sensibility. That's why it's associated in the mind of early man with evil spirits, because that's what the self within the self spirits would do. They would say, oh no, I'm not going to lose, and so this is one way of helping man to understand, of teaching him. So we have man at 12 and 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 16 being his EAO, inner foundation. 17, Dang, light, being the objectification of that inner foundation of the Yodi, of the faith. Well, then 18 represents the synthesis of his faith and his knowledge, the water and the fire, so to speak. It's the water and the light. So what we have a synthesis of in 18, we have the synthesis of the water and of the light, of faith and knowing. And you have to synthesize that. And that means reconciliation. And we know from negotiation that, from experience in negotiation, that to negotiate, to reconcile, means that have to give, that the higher has to give to come down, and the lower has to give a little bit to come up. And that whole, the salve for this, salve comes in 18 in Hack. It's almost like a thickened samu, you might think of it as that. And recall that samu is a mixture of light and darkness and of water and of earth and of air. Essentially, this reconciliation that comes about, this synthesis that comes about in 18, is a lowering of the light. The light lowers a bit for the reasons that we just said. For the reason that we just said, they have to find common ground. They have to see where they join, and that has to be. It doesn't mean that we get rid of the ideal. It doesn't mean we get rid of the anchorage that we have. We don't get rid of our understanding or our faith. We refine it. We can adjust it to the new information that we have. But we learn all that during the collapse, the objective place of it where man is, which is in Hack. And one of the other things that 7 is Drew is it represents understanding. And so we have this objective understanding that occurs in number 18, in that cycle. And inasmuch as that's the experiencing of the fullness of it, and we do experience this fullness, the fullness means that, when they reconcile, we have the higher and the lower, and they reconcile, and that the fullness represents all of that together. This here gets to share with that, and this up here gets to gain the understanding over here of this, which it didn't, because its anchorage was down here, but now this anchorage is over here. And so there's growth there, there's understanding, there's a richness that's involved, a beauty that comes forth, or that is perceivable. And in fact, that's one of the attributes of beauty is when there's gradations involved, gradations of light, and it just makes everything more interesting and more beautiful when they are combined in harmony, symmetry, and music. It can be very moving and very aesthetic. So when we move from 18 then to 19, well, 19 then would have to be the integration. The integration of the inner foundation, even as 18 is the synthesis of the inner foundation of man. So 19 is like the integration of all these, what's being integrated? Man is more than one individual. He's a collective. So male and female, they're all together. And so there's going to be variations, and there's going to be a depth and differences, as well as similarities. The good that's in them, it all gets integrated in 19. 19 integrates them.